This review is a sort of first thoughts response to having just finished Cassandra Clare, Clockwork Angel. I really must learn how to put thumbnails on the video. Anyway, I was right in the mood for Cassandra Clare. I'd read a couple of hard books that took a while and weren't 100% enjoyable. Cassandra Clare never disappoints me, at least. I think she's an immensely capable author. She seems to plot out her books. I have heard her criticised as being a tad bit formulaic, but sometimes you're in the mood for the formula, and when the formula works, why not keep doing it? So this one is set, instead of being set in America like her City of Bones, City of Ashes series, I think that was called The Mortal Instruments. This one is number 1 of Infernal Devices. And instead of being set in America like the last one was, this is set in England, and we've gone back in time a little bit. The descriptions of London as it was are very good. It mentions a few places like the Spitfields and the Limehouse that I suspect everyone will have heard of. The Thames is a bit of a feature as well. Really enjoyable setting. Like all of these books, you get a bit of setting, but you don't get a strong world building of the actual place. The world building concentrates more on the actual immortals. I know what's their names? Oh, you know what their names are. The guys who fight bad guys. We start. This one does follow the same sort of formula as the Mortal Instruments did. We've got a young woman who doesn't know her background and has no idea why she's important. She gets to the institute. Her method of getting to the institute is really quite good. She gets kidnapped while she's looking for her brother in London, having just come over from America. She's kidnapped and forced to develop powers that she doesn't believe can exist, let alone that she has, by a couple of really nasty pieces of work she calls the Dark Sisters. Eventually, she is rescued from them by one of the Shadow Hunters. That's it, Shadow Hunters. An impossibly gorgeous but problematic young male called Will. And that sets us up for the female lead. And yes, it's a bit formulaic. And the gorgeous male, again, formulaic. Later on, we'll meet another male who's diametrically different from the other one, setting up for the love triangle that is bound to happen sooner or later. I'm thinking probably in the next book. And then we reach the Institute, and the Institute used to be a church, and now it's just one of the amazing structures that always associated with Shadow Hunters. And it's all fun. You read it, and it's enjoyable. This book has 475 pages, and I read it in a couple of days, unlike the last one, which was 170, and it took me a week to finish. Because this one was enjoyable. While I was reading, I didn't really want to put down the book if I didn't have to. When I wasn't reading, I was keen to finish off what I was doing so I could get back to the book. It flowed beautifully, and for me, I've got relatively few criticisms from it. I've ordered the next 2 already, so hopefully they arrive early enough for me to read them while this one's still fresh in my mind. There's a couple of things about it that I want to mention. I think it's page 200 and something. There's a little bit of a sort of lightweight young adult level seduction routine that uses a glove as the instrument of the seduction, and I thought that was really cute. I did wonder if that was a bit of a bow to Age of Innocence, who managed to do the most seductive erotic scene out of someone taking off someone else's glove in the movie, not the book. The book's a different thing. I don't remember that in the book. But yeah, so I was reading this glove taking off sequence between Tessa and Will, and thinking I'm getting Age of Influence feels from this one. The only serious criticism about the plot and the characters and the behaviour that I've really got is much later in the book. So Tessa Gray, Miss Gray, if you will, comes over from America at the behest of her brother. They grew up at the care of an aunt because they were orphans, and when the aunt died, she sold off all the possessions, paid for the funeral, and her brother sent her a ticket to come across from America to London, where he was going to meet her. When she reaches the docks, she looks for him, can't find him. She's taken away by the Dark Sisters, who claim that they've been sent by her brother. So a large portion of the early book is Tessa doing what she's told, whether she likes it or not, because she's been threatened with the fact that if she doesn't cooperate, her brother will suffer, that he's being kept captive, and that his release and his continued health and life are dependent upon her cooperation. So she cooperates. And you can't really blame her for that. Most decent people would, and besides, she isn't really given any option other than to cooperate. So none of that is nonsensical. But her brother, Nathaniel, is her lodestar. That's what she's looking for when she finally escapes the Dark Sisters. She stays with the Institute, even though she isn't a shadow hunter, and she does it because there's a chance that they will help her find her brother. What I'm saying here is all of Tessa's motivations, pretty much, are brother-related. Fine, it's a good plot builder. Then, it's not really a spoiler, they find her brother. Sick, nigh to death, injured, he's brought back to the Institute, and she sits with him briefly, and then she goes off to do other things, and she semi-forgets about him. He's lying there sick and unconscious, and she isn't sitting with him. She wanders around, she has a little bit of a sequence with Will, she wanders around some more. She goes to her room and sleeps, a nice, long, cozy sleep, while her brother is lying there, possibly dying. And at this point, that's not terribly likely, but rescuing him was harsh. She was tired. I can see these things happening. The next day she gets up, breakfast and bathing before going anywhere near her brother. Finally she goes to see him, and instead of sitting with him, she leaves because someone called Jessamine is sitting with him. Now, the fact that she would so readily forget about and abandon a sick and dying brother who had been everything that she was interested in life up until a few pages ago makes no sense. The fact that she left him because Jessamine was already with him makes even less sense. She neither likes nor trusts Jessamine, and Jessamine has never given her any reason to like or trust her. So leaving her there with her precious brother for anything short of life or death makes no sense. Otherwise, excellent book, I've got to say.